What's going on, Dragons? Happy Friday. As always, I'm your co-host, Cory, and welcome to episode 28 of the UrCast, your weekly Friday Night Magic pre-show. Joining me in the Dragon's Den this week, as always, is my illustrious co-host, Cole.
Good day.
I said it right this time.
Good day, Cory. Good day. Or good evening.
Good morrow to you as well.
Happy to be here.
All right, glad to have you too. Now, because Cole only supports one half of this habit, and is my right hand, on my left hand, we are welcoming in, for the very first time, a very special guest, Brian, aka the Unskilled Commander, who's joining us today.
Good evening. Good evening.
The beautiful segue.
I thought that was how it was supposed to be. I'm sorry.
Good time.
It's a brand new tradition we're going to start at episode 28. That's where it really hits its stride.
Yeah. Your podcast really hit its stride around episode 327.
Yeah.
Slow burn.
Just like
Slow
the
burn.
Simpsons. How has this week been treating you guys? How's the week in Magic been going?
Well, we're coming off of the weekend of OTJ. We're recording this now. It's Monday, so I got to ask, did either of you guys do any of the Outlaws of Thunder Junction pre-release? Were you getting down and Western with it?
I did not yee any haws in terms of pre-releases. I rooted very many Teutons in terms of buying tons of packs, but I didn't participate in any of the events.
Any good pulls?
Yeah, I was really excited this one, and I didn't do much at all for Manor, so I went a little crazy overboard. I got 2 collector booster boxes, and then I split another one with my friend Dell.
Okay.
And I got some decent pulls. Basically one of the cards in the second box. The second box had the best, and it's already up on eBay to try and offset the cost of one full box. But I got the Lotus Ring raised foil.
Ooh.
And so it's it's listed. It was at least like around 200 and some at that time. It's probably going to drop a bit, but
No, sell it now while it's hot. You got one week to flip it before it hits the mainstream.
That's what I'm trying. It's what sucks is it's really beautiful. Actually, like the raised gold foil looked really good. I was like, I kind of want to keep that, but no, that would cover the cost of a box. I got to flip it. So, and then a lot of other just like decent cards. I mean, I did get a non-foil full art of the new sword. What is it? Wealth and Power.
Ooh, that's a good one too.
Yeah, which was cool because I wanted that sword for one of the decks, and a lot of like stuff like that. Like I got a fair amount of some of the vaults, the whatever they call
That's like breaking out of the vault. Oh man, I got it.
Yeah, I can't remember what it is.
We don't know what it's called.
Well, it has like 15 subsets
inside of it.
The big score. The big score.
The big score. Okay, sorry, I was completely way off, but. I got some decent big score cards that are worth at the time $20, whatever, $25. So value wise, the boxes were pretty solid, but
I like that you refer to 72 hours ago as at the time. It was worth it at the time. Now,
I mean, by the time this airs, I'm sure the prices will have all dropped. So
the market's crashing on you as we speak.
Not to mention there's the value you get of the act of ripping open the pack. It feels good. There's like some catharsis in there, just like peeling back that plastic and digging into those goodies.
Yeah, it's always, I mean, cards always are better when you pull them as opposed to just buy them. I mean,
but financially, they're better when I buy them and not when I pull them.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's absolutely the thing. But if you think about it, think about every time you've ever talked to friends while you're playing and you go, oh, that's a gorgeous whatever, full art, foil, raised, etched, whatever. 9 times out of 10, the response is going to be, yeah, I pulled that from a pack. Like no one ever says, yeah, I bought that off a TCG player.
I often tell a story where I walk in and there it was, glinting from behind the glass case.
And I reached into my wallet and gave them the exact money they asked. It's
cried internally as my card was run.
It's that dopamine hit of like getting the cards you want in the form you want from some random pack.
So then Cory, what was your OTJ experience? Did you get to play any games?
I did not get to play any games, but I do have a little side tangent, which is I don't think I can go to pre-releases anymore.
Ooh, why?
So my boss, who doesn't listen to this, by the way, so I can kind of out him a little bit, but I won't say him by name because maybe one day he'll track it down. But my boss recently moved to the area from New Jersey, and we got into this conversation about how he used to play D&D back in the day, and I guess it's been a stretch of time, maybe like 5-10 years or something since he's played. So he was asking if I knew or happened to know of any shop in the area that did so. So I naturally point him to the local LGS. So, hey, you can come down here, search it out, blah, blah, blah. We're having a discussion this morning, and he goes, oh, hey, by the way, I went to that shop. And, it was lovely. I found all this kind of hookup for D&D, and I'm going to get into a D&D adventure and blah, 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 blah. But I don't know, because that place was full of these disproportionately overweight gentlemen playing that card game called Magic. And it looked like just a bunch of fat little nerds over there. And I was like, well, I can't be seen around there anymore. God forbid he recognizes me.
Wow.
I was hoping this was going to go in a direction where you were going to DM for your boss and then be able to leverage raises by giving him magical items or something,
I rolled a net 20 that one time. I deserve a raise.
I could have killed your character, but I chose not to.
Or I won't kill your character if you sweeten the pot for me a bit. Yeah.
So I think,
wait, I have the very opposite. Is this guy like, what is he, like Schwarzenegger? Is he's all ripped and fit or something, or what?
He's pretty fit. Listen, I'll give him that. He's okay. Like maybe 5'9", but well jacked. He's like a former Marine.
Okay.
Well,
still, you tell him, listen there, buddy boy, you're playing D&D. You're playing pretend at age, 30 or 40, so you don't really get to talk about other people.
I'm pretty sure he's like 55.
There you go, even better. You're in your 50s playing pretend. You don't get to talk about other people being nerds. You're a nerd.
The only smack we talk is at the table in response to the way you play your cards. You can't degrade other people or abuse them for their hobbies. We all like to have fun in different ways.
Yeah, and when I said play pretend, I wasn't degrading it because I play Pathfinder with friends. So it's like I do that. I'm just saying it's like that's pretend. What you're doing.
Playing pretend is
you
great.
You are playing pretend. Yeah, that's what it is.
I was going to say, like, I too. I don't know why I feel attacked on this side. But the Piece de la Resistance, the reason we have dragged Brian onto the scene here today, we want to talk a little bit about giving back to the community and what that means, and different ways that you as a creator or player at home, all that good stuff, can kind of give back, use whatever platform you may or may not have to both support people that are in the gathering and to hopefully grow it for future generations, maybe, so that you too could become 55 and talk about those fat little sweaty nerds gripping their cards. So I think we kick this off, Brian. So obviously we know you, we love you.
I love you too.
I'm disappointed that your friend Dell couldn't be on here, but this is confirmation that you are friends, allegedly, if he does listen. But for those of you who don't know who you are, what is it that you do specifically on your channel, I guess, and maybe tell us a little bit about what you got going on.
Okay, so I am Brian, the Unskilled Commander on YouTube. Creation of the Unskilled Commander came from two reasons. One, because, to be honest, I was losing constantly to my friends at Magic, and it was getting a little salty. Losing a couple games is one thing, but when I've lost like 12 in a row over the course of like 2 months, it's like I would like to actually win once in a while. So I wanted to get better, and I started trying to play test my decks, but everyone's like, oh, just use Moxfield and play test. It's like, yeah, but there's no interaction. Like you don't know how you're going to respond to things. So I one time just grabbed two of my decks and set them next to each other and started doing like turn 1, turn 2. And I'm like, well, but this isn't Commander's a 4-player game. So I ended up just putting all 4 decks out and started to go. And I'm like, hey, this could be something that I could put online as a little niche thing as I play my decks against themselves to find their weaknesses. Like, why is this deck not doing anything when I play against friends? And then on the flip side of that, for the last 14 years, I've been participating in Extra Life, which is a 24-hour gaming marathon that benefits Children's Miracle Network hospitals nationwide. And I run the charity art auction for a local small comic book convention.
Wow.
It's getting bigger, and I've been doing that for the last few years, and that's where the bulk of my donations comes from. But nothing's ever said. I mean, if we get really big, they could decide to go with a different charity, or if this thing shuts down. So I wanted to figure out ways, new avenues to get more donations. And I realized early on that all the big high score people on Extra Life, the people that are raising $20,000, $25,000 a year, are streamers, because all their donations are like $5, $10, $10, $50, $5, $25,
Right.
$5. It's not like some giant $10,000 donation from one source. So I thought, if I can do this stuff on YouTube and then possibly even move, and do Twitch and grow some sort of community of people that actually like my stuff, after a certain amount of time, however long it takes to get, a decent number, I can then do charity streams throughout the year where, this much donation will, get you a vote to like, what decks do I play next, or how do I do it, or whatever, thing like that. So those were the two main reasons. One, to just get better at Magic, deck building and playing, and then also to have another way to raise money for my local children's hospital. And once I started doing it, I also do like little comedy skits for fun. I do some deck techs, a bunch of different stuff on my YouTube. That's when probably within 6 months to a year after that, I discovered the online community. I didn't realize there really was one, because I never really thought about it. I knew I wasn't the first person doing what I was doing by any stretch, but I stumbled on people and then started following more people. And then suddenly it was like, oh, there's like hundreds of thousands of people that stream and do things like with Magic the Gathering. And a lot of them do charity work, and a lot of them are doing it for fun. And then like I started being invited onto their streams for, just to play and making those connections. And then it was like, okay, that opened up my eyes to Twitch more as well. So it's like, that's the short answer after that long diatribe, is the Unskilled Commander is about getting better at Magic, hopefully allowing other people to get better with me as they see me do my mistakes. And as I talk through them and like, oh, that was dumb, I should have played this in the proper order, other people will be like, oh, I messed that up too. Or just, hey, that's a great card I've never seen before. I want that for my such and such deck. And then also get people involved in raising money for different charities throughout the year as well.
And that's always an admirable cause. I think the hot button question we got to get out of the way first, though, is, are you winning more now?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like I am. I think I definitely feel my deck building has gotten quite a bit better after starting the channel, like for seriously. And I think my playing is a little smarter now. I don't necessarily have like a massive jump in win stats, but I feel like I'm playing the game smarter and understanding the interactions a little bit better, and remembering like board states, or just remembering to pay attention to board states instead of, I play a land, I play this little mana rock, I pass a turn and then go on my phone, or start talking about the latest Marvel trailer and not pay attention to what everyone else is doing.
Right.
Are you personally attacking my playstyle? Because that's all I do. I go, Soul Ring, now let's talk about the One Ring. Lord of the Rings getting reboot.
Well,
no, I think that's admirable. I'm sorry, Cole, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to mention, you might have, if for the listener, you might have seen there's several games that we've played with John, Chaotic Commander, and gotten the chance to get some great games in with you, Brian. And I just wanted to mention I've had a lot of fun playing with you in the past.
Thank you. I really enjoyed playing with both you guys and John, and it's like, I think you guys are some of the actual friends, like because like. It takes time. You don't just magically become besties with everyone you meet online, but surprising to some people, I'm sure. But it's cool that like I have these connections where like I can chat a little on Twitter and like make a comment on their post and get a response and whatnot. But there are some of these creators and players like you guys that I'm actually connecting with and like looking forward, like, oh, I really want to play with you guys again. I really want to like see what they have to say about this, or I want them to see this comedy skit I did because I think they're really going to love it, and tagging you guys and stuff. And so that's definitely a fun bonus of the whole content creation that I wasn't expecting.
I'll say, 2 points. I'm going to make a snide off-shooting point, and then I'll circle back to the real point.
You guys can just skip ahead 15 seconds. Skip the snide
one. Speaking of your skits, by the way, the first skit I ever saw from you, and you'll have to forgive me because I forget what the hook was, but it was like a father talking to his son, and you were swaddled in a blanket.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay,
Baby's
father,
first
son,
day,
son.
yes.
Yeah. And then it shows you with the baby voice, and I almost lost it, like watching it on my phone.
That's great. That's exactly what I want to hear. It took me
Just
forever to
the
get the stupid towel around me, just enough so that I looked like I was like being held sideways as a baby.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen this, he is like corner positioned at the bottom of the screen, looking upward as if he's gazing into the face of God, swaddled in like a towel as a blanket, and it's just this grown man's head being the entire child swaddled in, asking like impertinent questions, more or less, or like leading
Well,
questions.
no, it was the dad was like, "Hey, welcome to the world." It's like, basically going through all the good stuff and then suddenly taking it into the bad stuff. And the baby is like, yeah, like just like goo goo, and I wasn't saying anything as the baby. It was just like, yeah, it's like, oh, you get to experience rainbows and kittens and all kinds of fun stuff. Oh, and then like, no housing market and burning world, and this the baby's face just goes into this horror, like, what the hell did I get born into? This sucks. But then I think I ended it with like, but you get to play Magic the Gathering, and the baby's like, that's supposed to make it all better.
Yeah, it's a real win-win.
Yeah.
But on the greater point, I guess, one of the things I've found, and maybe you can say you've found or haven't found the same, is I think getting into the Magic the Gathering community as a whole, I was surprised not only at the size of it, like just the scope of the amount of people, how many creative people are out there, how friendly they all are, but how accessible they are. And I know I've talked about this before on here, and Cole and I have talked about this topic too, which is, I've been in other creator communities before Magic, and they were not necessarily as accessible, whereas I feel like here you can make so many friends and they're all very excited to kind of welcome you into the fold.
I agree, absolutely, because I mean, I wouldn't be sitting here right now and talking to you guys if it wasn't. And like, there's you probably like one in every like 20 people you maybe connect to are a little cooler than the others. Like, not cold per se, but like, well, not cooler as in that kind of cooler. I mean, like a little more standoffish, a little bit more. But they're like, that's a small percentage. Like they're 1 in 20. The other 19 people are just like, oh, hey, what's up? And they'll totally, engage with you in the comments of a post. Or I've DM'd people, and from the very beginning, Commander Mechanic, I DM'd him to ask him what software he was using to do his stuff, because I didn't know. I'm like, hey, what do you use to edit all your videos and stuff? And he told me, he's like, oh, I use Premiere Pro. And I looked into it, and I ended up getting that, and that's what I use. But we didn't become like best friends. We didn't go back and forth forever, but he acknowledged the post and answered as like, oh, hey, sure, I can help you out. Here's what it is. And a bunch of other creators are like that. When I first started, and it's like, hey, I don't mean to bother you, but this and that. And it's like, oh, you're not bothering. This is how I do this, or ask this person or whatever.
Sure. It's a nice little web of people supporting each other to all get to the same goal of just being happy where you're at with the content that you're creating.
And I know we were talking about kind of giving back in a greater scope. Obviously you have a lot of giving back in the nonprofit sector, but when you're inviting new people into that kind of community, what kind of responsibility do you guys think you have in kind of inviting them in and giving back in that sense of like a Commander Mechanic? He helped me at one point, maybe not to best friend degree, but he helped kind of set you on the right path or give you advice. When you see a new person entering the community, what's your kind of reaction or responsibility to helping them out?
Yeah, and I think it is a responsibility that you should share and have. And I've tried to do it already. Chris from One More Game was a huge help in getting me to affiliate in Twitch as quickly as I did. So then within the last couple of weeks, there was another smaller group that was working towards affiliates. We're really close. And they were doing it during the day, so I just posted like, hey, I'll try and jump on during lunch and just lurk and give you the view, because I know that's like the hardest piece to get out of the whole thing, is to get the average of 3 viewers per hour, especially when you're starting out. It's a flooded market of Magic content, so to get that kind of number. So, and I did. I jumped on, just I watched them for a little bit, but then I had to go to the post office, so I just left the computer on and had Twitch open so that they would get that view, like that count as, and And it was basically a pay it forward kind of moment. Like, people help me, I want to help others, and they appreciated it. They said thanks, and I think they're well on their way.
I think sometimes that goes a long way too, because like you said, when you're starting off and you're trying to get to those milestones or thresholds, getting 3 people to watch you is a burden, right? Like now I'm no Twitch streamer. I'm up front. I'm a professional audience member, but I'm not streaming myself. But yeah, I mean, you do have to kind of find those moments to pay it forward, I think. And the 3 of us sitting here, none of us would have those opportunities if it weren't for other people, right? Like you talked about Commander Mechanic. When I first started the podcast almost a year ago at this point. I mean, Joe Cherries used to be on like Nitpicking Nerds. He really helped me out as far as like, hey, here's some tips on how to composition your thumbnails and different things like that. And just having somebody was like, oh, I can feel like I'm unannoyingly asking their advice, and he never gave me that sense of, why are you still pestering me? I'm up here and you're down there.
Yep.
So that really goes a long way. Now, as someone, Brian, now that you've established your platform and you're at the pinnacle of Magic creation.
Yes.
When it comes to like giving back to the community as a whole, when you look at like Extra Life, they're not necessarily Magic related, right? In the sense that like the Miracle Network and all this stuff, they want donations and they're going towards a good cause, but it's not like a Magic the Gathering centric thing. But I would argue a lot of Magic the Gathering creators give back to them. A lot of larger streamers. What kind of got you interested in that initially, I guess? I know you brought up the auction, but do you have like a background maybe working at children's hospitals, or did you have a friend or family member? Because I feel like a lot of times, and I know this is a long-winded one.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of times when people choose charities to give back to, it's because they've got some kind of personal connection. Was that the case in your neck of the woods, or you just kind of felt it was a good cause?
Yeah, that's the thing. Not exactly. Like I, knock wood to the better, luckily I haven't had any kind of direct thing where like I wasn't rushed to Children's Hospital and saved, or none of my close friends or their children have like drastically needed Children's Hospital. But years and years ago, 14 years ago, I was on the forums of like, because this was still back when it was just after the whole Blu-ray HD wars.
Sure.
So that's how,
dark days.
If anybody listening even remembers about it.
All you need to say was you were out on the forums, and that already dates it enough.
Exactly. So they're the forums of the site, and I was a pretty active member, and there was a section for PlayStation 3 at the time. And there was like, we were all about, getting the trophies and like helping each other grind the trophies and all that stuff. It was a big trophy hunting community. And so someone in one of the comments mentioned Extra Life. And I believe at that point, that was Extra Life's 3rd year in existence, maybe. And I've always loved playing video games. I spent tons and tons of hours, off hours doing it. And then this opportunity is like, oh, well, but this can do something good with this hobby that I do that you would never expect. Like, how would playing games help sick children? And so it really struck me as this great opportunity. And so I signed up and started doing it. And originally it was just a video game chair. It was a 24-hour video game marathon. But after the first like 5 or 6 years, they changed the verbiage and opened it up to everything. So it's like now they just celebrated. In fact, last weekend was National Tabletop Day. So Extra Life had a big event for the tabletop community, and it's open to, video games, tabletop card games, board games, anything that's a game counts. So it is kind of a Magic the Gathering charity. It's just not, it's not centered on it, but it is like very much welcomed aspect of it. It's not like, oh yeah, you can do Magic, I suppose, if you want. It's absolutely a main chunk now with like Magic, video games, D&D. Like those are like kind of like the 3 pinnacles, basically, or Pokemon, probably just card games in general of Extra Life. So it's definitely up there, which is why a lot of MTG creators use that as their go-to.
It's also, I do want to mention that Extra Life has done a couple of like secret layers or like collaborated on projects with Magic before. I think they had a couple that were rather successful, and it's been repeated. several times where they have children draw renditions of these cards and they give cute flavor text, and then artists take those same sketches and fill them in with their, the discrepancy of talent is pretty clear, but the professionally done ones turn these drawings into real looking creations, and it's very very cute. But it also they always make a big point of promoting Extra Life and donating to charity on that front.
Yeah, well, Wizards of the Coast has a giant Extra Life team every year that you can sign up and join if you want. But it's and so what you're saying, this is I think the third year that they had last year was the third year of an Extra Life Secret Lair, and it always comes out around Extra Life's main game day, which is always the end of October, beginning of November, around that time frame. The first two were just like you're saying, their kids did like 4 cards and then reimagined by the actual artists. So you actually got 2 of each in the set, which is pretty big for a Secret Lair. So it would be like 8 cards. And then last year's, I'm a little disappointed in it, to be honest, because I liked that, because I liked seeing the kid version and the real version. And they also tended to pick like some semi-decent stuff. Like, I mean, there was
Craterhoof Behemoth.
One dragon. What's that?
Craterhoof Behemoth is one of them.
Right, yeah.
Lathless, Dragon Queen as well.
Yep. That's the one I was stumbling on the name. I knew it was the Dragon Queen.
I use her as my commander for a mono red dragon deck, and you best believe I bought that Secret Lair, so I swap out between the kid and the real one.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. But last year was the My Little Pony one. So it still was Extra Life, and the proceeds still went to Extra Life, but it's the silver bordered My Little Pony set as opposed to being like created by the kids. So I'm not sure why they decided to do that last year.
Can you expect me to believe that you did not take those and build a deck for each one?
No, I did not.
There's not an unskilled commander video out there just called the Galloping, or it's just four
Magic the Galloping. That's a good idea. I like that. I mean, the one utilizes toys. Like I can win any game with that. Like I put Optimus Prime on the field, and it's a red, blue, whatever.
Yeah, that's called Magic. You can put Optimus Prime on the field in Magic, Brian. Well, you've played this game before, haven't you?
That is true. But
Hasbro will travel. That's the mantra of Wizards of the Coast these days.
Yeah, seriously.
So what about yourself? So you're going in how many years? I'm sorry?
14. This is the 14th year.
Wow, that's
14
amazing.
years. You've been here since the gritty, dark era.
Yep, the gritty, dark era of Extra Life.
Now, what would you say if, let's say Cole and I want to get into Extra Life this year, or someone listening wants to get into Extra Life, what would you say is a good starting point? And I guess also, what would you say is a good reason to?
Honestly, I haven't heard it as much recently, but if you guys, being gamers, video games especially, but just games in general, are the newest scapegoat. First, it was rock and roll. Then it was cartoons. Then it was D&D. Then it was everything other than parenting is making kids bad.
Sure.
So this is a great way to show that video games don't have to be bad. Like, oh no, the video games aren't making us all violent. Look, we're raising money for a children's hospital with video games. We're making the world better because of video games.
Sort of like a anti-Hellfire Club argument.
Exactly.
I want you to know, by the way, that I only play Magic because I'm a bad boy.
Wow,
that's really the whole,
That's obvious. I know from what I know of you. You totally, you're the Harley, pushing people out of the way type for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I'm the James Dean of Magic the Gathering. Live fast, die young.
All right.
Which is why I'm always in 4th place.
So I got a question. 24 hours of gaming, that takes endurance. You put in, you got to put in the hours to build up that for a 24-hour stream, and plan ahead in terms of you need your snacks and your gamer supplements and that sort of thing.
Well, that's the beauty of especially Extra Life, because it's a children's hospital charity. They promote doing things for staying healthy. So one of the, when you look at their instructional sheet or the info, if you go to their website, which is extra-life.org, they tell you get up every couple hours and stretch, go for a walk. Don't just have Mountain Dew and chips. Have some veggies, have some healthy snacks. You don't have to do 24 hours in a row if you can't. You can break it up in any kind of increment you want. You can have 2 12-hour weekends or a couple, like spread out over a week. If the 24-hour is just the flashiness of it, the attention grabbing. Well, that's a big number. Why you're going to stay up for 24 hours playing video games? What? But you don't have to if it's if you physically can't, emotionally can't, whatever. It's fine. There's no tracking. No one's going to like ping you the next day saying you were only on for 19 hours.
You're under arrest.
You owe us even more money or something. There's no login. It's literally just you sign up. You get to choose the hospital that your donations go to, which I think is a really special thing for a charity. Most of the time, it goes to the parent charity and they divvy it up, but you get to keep your money local to you. And then you just get your own donation page, similar to like Race for the Cure or anything like that. And then you just send that link to friends, family, coworkers, or people online and say, hey, can you donate to, sponsor me for $1 an hour? Or a $5 donation, and then it lasts. The setup page lasts for the entire year. So if you signed up in January, if you sign up now, if you sign up in November, it lasts until December 30th, and you can try and gain donations however it makes you comfortable. If you want to be a streamer and actually stream on game day and have these kind of big marathon events, you can. They have layouts that you can try and use and stuff, which I might look into later this year as well. But if not, you don't have to. Like up until now, all of my donations have been prior to game day. I always used to say that game day was the reward for me raising all this money.
Wow, cool.
Like I raised, X amount of hundreds of dollars throughout the year. Now I'm going to sit back, maybe hopefully with even some friends, and play games for the next like 20 some hours and just, jump around to 15 different games, do whatever we want, stop, play Magic for a couple hours, go back to Spider-Man 2 or whatever new games came out and just have fun.
Well, I think that's a healthy approach about it too, right? Which is, like I said, it's not about, let me do this wild endurance challenge of 24 hours where I'm not using the bathroom and I'm chugging, Mountain Dew and Doritos, but treating it more as like a celebration. Like, hey guys, we spent the year, climbing up this mountain. Now we've hit game day. Now let's celebrate the success we all did as a community. We raised X amount of money. Now you get to watch us have a fun time and, interact with us in the comments and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. You're probably also I'm sorry, Corey, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say you can excuse my ignorance. When is game day?
You know what? I should have that.
Oh my god! Someone who's been doing this for 14 years.
Well, that's what I said. It changes every time. I believe it's the first weekend in November, the first Saturday.
That's what they all say. They keep changing it on me.
It's always Saturday, and because it's Saturday morning, starting at 8 o'clock till Saturday morning. Yeah, I think it's the 2nd, November 2nd.
Let's liven it up extra life. Let's do a Wednesday sometime. Let's really jar people in their system.
That's right.
So I'm
Take off the day of work.
Is there a lot of collaboration? Like you're linking up with other Extra Life streamers or, people who, if you're trying to get a game going in Magic, maybe you have other people who are participating in this event and you're able to like link up on Spell Table or, maybe even in person if they're local.
To be honest, this is my first year where I've actually have the online aspect. Like this is my first year with Twitch and all that, so I don't know exactly. I would assume that's pretty much how it is. If you have any kind of community, I'm sure all the channels that we've all been on that have their own Discords and stuff. I have no doubt that there's probably things set up in the Discord if they're participating where it's like, and most likely it might even be like, hey, $10 donation and we'll play a game of Commander together on this day. And you set up brackets or whatever. I know for me, whenever I would do it and have friends over, I would actually still use it as a way to make money because I would have $5 cover charge to get in. So it's like, hey, you guys come over, I'll provide the snacks, the drinks, all that stuff. But to get in the door, it's $5, and then you stay as long as you want, and we just playing video games all day long. And I'd make like an extra like $20, $30 that day, and friends would literally bring their TVs and game systems, and we would hook them up, and I give like one year we had like three different we'd have 3 different TVs and game systems going, and one guy on a computer using the Wi-Fi and stuff, and it was just a blast because we'd play co-op games or we'd just all be on 3 completely different games, and it's so surreal to just be sitting there and like hit pause and look over, and your buddy's over there playing like Gears of War, and then like you turn over there and someone else is playing whatever, and then my other friends on like World of Warcraft. It's just so much fun.
It reminds me of there was another event that my wife and I used to do together. We did it maybe 2 years in a row called Gish Wish. I don't know if either of you ever heard of this.
No.
So it's from the television show Supernatural, which I never watched, but apparently was some big hit on like the CW forever in a day.
Carry on my wayward son.
I love that show up until like season 11. But yes, I love that show.
Okay, I've never watched it, so you'll have to fill in the details.
You're gonna get obliterated in the comments for saying that.
I probably am.
And I'll probably get obliterated for not liking the last like 4 seasons.
But
I watched them at least.
Not the main character, but I guess he was like an archangel or something, like Misha.
Ah, yes. I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay, so he started his own scavenger hunt for charity, and it's like a list of 500 different items. I guess they still do it. We haven't done it in a couple years. But it's all about like collaboration. So you have teams that spread all across the world, and each like wild, crazy item has points associated to it. So the whole point is you go out and collaborate and do things like 1 year we had to dress up as unicorns and like wave at people as they came down the side of the road, like get honks and stuff like that from cars. And you film it or you take pictures and you upload and that's how you get points. But also tie back into charity. I kind of like the appeal to this when it comes to like Extra Life, what you're talking about, where it has that community aspect to it. Because sometimes I think the nonprofit realm has a very serious feel to it, which is like, hey, we're tackling a serious, epidemic or a cause or something like that. Let's give money, rally around this, but they kind of lose sight of the come together as a community to solve the problem aspect of things. Or they do the opposite, right? Where it's like, let's go do the ice bucket challenge. We'll dump ice on each other and forget everything it was about.
Yep. Yes, exactly.
So I kind of like the fact that Extra Life is kind of threading that needle and seem to be doing it well.
I agree. Yeah, there are challenges throughout the year, but nothing crazy. I mean, challenges as in like, hey, get 4 of your friends to sign up for Extra Life, or within the next this weekend get an extra $20 in donations. But it's like and they have actual incentives, and they have for probably the last 5, 6, 7 years, and they get progressively better each year. One of them being like this keyboard I have that's an Extra Life keyboard, and it's you raise a certain amount of money. Most of them, the smaller, semi-smaller ones are like, if you raise $100 or $200 in this month, you get this. But then there's always like one really cool big thing for the year that if you raise this much over the entire year, you get this. One of them last year, or the year before, was a literal throw rug that's just had the logo and a bunch of like cool, like not techie, but like actually almost like blueprint design of like computer mouse, dice, chess piece, video game controller, like the aspects of gaming. This year, in fact, for the second half of April, starting with the tabletop game day that we just had through April 30th, if you raise $100, you get a really nice Extra Life D20. So there's all kinds of really cool things that throughout the year to help keep you going, like help keep you invigorated, instead of like if you're, if it feels like a chore to like raise money all year long, you don't have to raise money all year long. But there's these cool little things that if you want to try, you can jump in and try and get these cool incentives. So they do a great job of keeping it fun because it is a kids charity, but doing it in such a way that it raises great money for Children's Hospital.
So is Ronald's McDonald's house, and all they do to raise money is constantly shove fatty products down my mouth.
Yeah.
And, shield me with toys.
That's right. And like, have a weird clown come at you.
Yeah, it's really aggressive. It's a unwanted strategy.
Is he even part of it, McDonald's anymore? I don't think I've seen any Ronald McDonald stuff ever.
I feel like they've hard written him out. I actually saw I saw a meme circling around Facebook the other day, which I rarely go on these days, but it was a picture of a Burger King signboard out front. But it said like, wouldn't you rather dine with a king than get assaulted by a clown, or like get creeped out by a clown?
Yeah. Nice.
And I was like, well, that's a message. I don't know who at corporate allowed that, but
I will say there used to be a lot of McDonald or Ronald statues. I feel like you used to see those pretty often inside the store, and those are a relic of the past. So hopefully they're phasing that out.
They're hot sure they're hot items on eBay right now. Someone's like, you don't understand. I've got the Ronald McDonald statue.
I'll trade you a Black Lotus for it.
Yeah. I bought one of those Ronald McDonald's benches, and it's in my backyard. I sit on it. I look at the garden.
It's the only way the McNuggets taste good, you know.
So I'm never
stare out my chickens, and I think of what they will be. So on that kind of similar topic, what would you say? I mean, you're talking about like they have incentives throughout the year. They kind of keep things going. What would be your primary motivator then to somebody new coming in? Like if you got them into the community, you know, how would you upsell somebody to like, hey, come on, you should try this out. You should check it out. It's cool people, cool prizes. It's not an MLM, even though it keeps saying sign up 4 friends every month or whatever.
Honestly, I would just push it as like, just do something good. I mean, the world's on fire at this point. I don't know what the next year will bring, let alone the next 10 years, but we can do something good now for whatever charity you believe in. But Extra Life, if you do game in some form and you do it on a regular basis and you enjoy it, it's a great way to do something you're already doing and something you already enjoy doing. And again, it's the beauty of it is it's really just about the most you have to do is like send out a link. You know, you sign up, send out the link to your page 2-3 times in an email, and you might get like $20, $100. And that's something. You don't have to do any massive campaigns and showy this and crazy that. Just, you know, just have some fun and send an email once or twice, you know, and do what you do.
I would think, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not as versed in the fundraising aspect of things. But I would imagine that would be the biggest hurdle for people, right? Is not necessarily the gameplay, because they're like, oh, I'm already into Magic or I'm already into video games or board games or whatever. It would be like the solicitation aspect. Like, oh, I feel very uncomfortable soliciting.
Yeah.
So what would you say to try and get someone past that?
Again, it's the simplicity of, especially with social media. It doesn't have to be if someone says no, then that's it. Just walk away and okay, cool. You don't have to. It's not about like badgering. It's not the sales pitch.
But what if I don't take no for an answer?
That is not the way the world works anymore. Nor should it have been. But yeah, it's not the foot in the door salesman, door-to-door salesman technique that people think charity is. You really you got social. If you have a social media account, post the link once or twice on there and just say, hey, I'm doing this fun thing. Help me out. $5, $1, anything. And most likely a couple of your friends will be like, oh, that's cool. So-and-so's doing the charity thing. Okay, I'll toss them $10 or whatever. And it doesn't have to be every week, every day. Literally, if you signed up now and you send out a post on your social medias and one email to friends every other month, let's say, even just 3 times, you're probably going to get something, especially if you have like a big family. You get a couple family members, a grandma, an aunt, and uncle. They might even just give you the cash, and then you go online and do the donation yourself. And Extra Life has the features in it where like you can do offline donations. There's ways to get around that. You can send in checks and all that kind of stuff. So it doesn't. If you've got your friends or family that don't do online, you can still get. They can still be like, can I give you $20? And you can be like, sure, I will totally just put it on myself.
Yeah, and I think
it's as minimal as you want it to be.
No, and I agree with that too, because as far as, you ask and, you'll get the occasional friend, stuff like that, because everything that in the past year we've donated to, as far as like the podcast and stuff like that, has typically been causes from people we know within the community. John was raising money at the Chaotic Commander for the Trevor Project. Yep. So we threw some money his way. The fires in Maui, Proxy Forge was raising money for, so we helped support them in some capacity. So it is very much like good people who are looking for a good cause. You do want to support them, even if you're not necessarily like, I want to be on camera and I want to be the face of this. I'm going to solicit money and I'm going to be the fundraising banner waving chieftain. You can still support them vicariously through your friends who do want to be that totem in front of everything.
Exactly.
I guess one other question for you, and because I am kind of curious on your mindset on this. So we talked a little bit in the beginning about like responsibility you would have shepherding in newer members of the community.
Mhm.
What responsibility do you think you have to use your platform to kind of shepherd in those kind of things? So not that any of us really have a great massive platform of millions of followers or anything like that.
Right. Sure. Of course.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we'll say we have a not zero amount, and we appreciate every single one of them to an immense degree because they're taking their time and energy and effort to support us. But to those people, do you have a responsibility to kind of portray a positive message to them or promote these causes? Some would argue that you don't, right? Like you should be funny man who makes videos.
Here's the thing. I don't ever consider myself, as you said, like popular or like celebrity or something, but by even remotely claiming the title content creator, you are still similar to actors and everyone else and in the public eye because you were putting yourself out there, and you have that responsibility to be some kind of acceptable role model because someone is going to be watching your stuff. And if you're a jerk, if you treat people horribly, if you are not inclusive and disrespectful to races or religions or sexes or anything, other people will then say, oh well, I don't have to either, and they will emulate you. And so I think you need to put the best you forward that you can. You're going to slip up, you're going to have a bad day, sure, but you're going to and that's not about like suppressing your emotions. If you're depressed, you can share that as well, so that people can connect and be like, okay, I'm not alone in my depression. But you should try and do good things with whatever platform you have. It doesn't have to be like you're saying. You don't have to banner wave and run around screaming from the hilltops like do this, do this or you're a jerk. But just something like, hey, if it's not specifically a charity raising thing, it's speaking about being inclusive. Like, hey, just be kind to everybody else. Like just saying that, another voice saying the right thing will slowly, hopefully drown out the voices that are doing the wrong thing. And I think we do have that kind of responsibility.
No, and I agree. And I think it also comes down to not necessarily like, being the banner waver, but it comes down to sometimes it's something as simple as like supporting people who maybe are the banner waver or surrounding yourself with the right people. Especially on social media, when you look at people that aren't necessarily the how should I put the best of society,
right?
A block button is only a click away.
Yeah,
you don't necessarily have to surround yourself with those individuals, and surrounding yourself with good people that share a positive message is very simple to do. So it's almost like, why can't we just prune some of these individuals out and
I agree completely.
Well, and promoting like a positive space, like Brian, I thought that was really well said. That it's all about resonating with somebody, and if they see your positivity, it can change their perspective on something, or it can bring that light into the world, and they realize that there's a safe space for them, or maybe they even reach out and are like, oh, I'm really grateful that you're making this content because it's something that affects me personally or someone in my family. So it's just nice to kind of give back to the community by like showing there's just more positivity than negativity. Like love wins, and positivity will always overpower the haters in that sense.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, I think that just about wraps up our conversation here. So we're gonna jump into question of the week, card of the week. Unless you guys have any one last round of closing thoughts.
I did want to do one little minor plug if I could.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So just because now obviously
now that I made that little half joke, now I got to drop this to explicit.
Yeah,
what we talked about
right.
pre-recording.
Right. So we've talked mostly about Extra Life, but I did want to drop out that Saturday, April 27th on Twitch, the Unskilled Commander channel, I'm doing my very first 12-hour marathon charity stream. So it's going to be for the Trevor Project, actually. I plan on doing Extra Life 1 in July. But this is for the Trevor Project, and it's going to be 12 hours of Commander. It's going to be 6 pods every 2 hours, or 1 new pod every 2 hours, 18 different guests, awesome creators from across the MTG community. They're all going to be helping. We're going to be playing a bunch of Commander. I hope it's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of laughs, and we're going to try and raise a ton of money as best we can. There's going to be all kinds of goofy incentives where it's like $15 donation. I wear this ridiculously long rainbow wig, or the mask from the spirit from Avatar: The Last Airbender, or I wear Wolverine claws, all kinds of stuff that will hinder my ability to see the board or play properly. And you can $15 donation. I wear them for 15 minutes so they can keep every time I'm taking this off. Nope, another donation. Well, okay, putting it back on. So you guys can have me looking goofy for the entire 12 hours. I don't care as long as the donations are working. So please check out that stream. Check me out April 27th, Saturday, starting at noon Eastern Standard Time.
All right. Love to see it. So we're gonna hop in question. Actually, I'm sorry, I'm overstepping myself. Cole, you got any final thoughts?
Well, yeah, I just at the end of the day, I am so grateful that we've had the opportunity to get you in here, Brian. I've been able to talk with you for I think a couple weeks now. I think our first game was maybe at the end of last year on John's channel. So it's really great to get you in here, and I hope we get a chance to collaborate more in the future.
Oh, same here. I was really excited whenever you guys reached out initially to get together, and I was looking forward to it. So I'm glad we finally got to do one of these.
See, I was all in past tense. It's like, hey, and then the mic flicked on, and the excitement just really dwindled from there. But hey, question of the week. This comes from Sam over on Spotify. Sam would like to know: is there a content creator you've never played a game with that you would like to?
There's
Brian, kick it off.
Yeah, there's a ton. Probably one of the top ones because it was one of the first. I mean, obviously everyone knows the big dogs like the Command Zone and the Professor and stuff, but one of the first bigger stream personalities that I learned of was Mana Curves Chase, and I've been following them for a while now, and I'd love to get a game in. I met them at Baltimore Command Fest last year and got a picture with them and got them to sign my Chandra token or emblem from one of the Chandra planeswalkers, and they loved being able to sign that because that's their favorite planeswalker and stuff. But I'd love to get a game in with them.
Yeah, I think that's a admirable choice. I follow Chase too online. She's an interesting individual. What about you, Cole?
Oh, well,
and you can't say me because we've played a game.
No, every game we've played has been an exciting one, that's for sure. I would say if a content creator that I would love to get a chance to play a game with is any of the fellas from the Howling Salt Mine. I think there's some really cool guys. They I'm a big fan of their show, and they also have Sam does a lot of art on that. A similarly named Sam from the Spotify who might have asked. So
how did you know?
Yeah.
But I love playing games with anybody, but especially in person. I would love to get games with more content creators in person when we get the chance to go to Magic Fest or that sort of thing.
So Sam and some other guys we may or may not ever run into at some Magic event sometime.
Precisely right.
The specificity is what I love about it.
Yeah. Them at the place.
What about you, Cory?
I think I've been incredibly lucky to play with a lot of interesting people past year. One that I narrowly missed out on playing that I would love an opportunity to play it would be BZ, the Nitpicking Nerds. So we were at Gen Con together August last year, and we did a draft, so I got an opportunity to play with Bobby, Christine, and Mia. But BZ, who was sitting directly next to me, got shifted into the pod with my wife, so I didn't get an opportunity to play with him. And then we've met and played with Joe Cherries a number of times, but BZ has always eluded me, and he's one of the few content creators that is taller than me. So at that rate, we have to show down.
Yeah. Got to catch them all. He gets
yeah. My dance card is not fully checked off yet. All right. So that's question of the week. Card of the week. So the tradition is that our guests get to select their card of the week, which means Brian, what's our card of the week?
I decided to pick Descent into Avernus.
Ooh,
it's a classic card. So Descent into Avernus is a 2 and a red. For an enchantment at the beginning of your upkeep, put 2 Descent counters onto Descent into Avernus. Then each player creates X treasure tokens Descent into Avernus deals X damage to each player, where X is the number of descent counters on Descent into Avernus. Can I say descent any more times on this card?
Descending into madness right now.
Yeah.
That's a fun card.
What do you like about it?
I just think it's hilarious, and it's just so much fun to do because every time it comes out, people groan and complain, but they always start laughing and having fun because it keeps the game moving, and it kind of puts like a little bit of fun pressure on everybody because it's like you're getting this great resource, you're getting treasures that are going to allow you to play your hand faster and do crazy things, but you're also getting smacked every single time for exponentially more damage. So either you better get off your butt and win the game now, or everyone's losing. And it's the interaction and the way it speeds up everybody's setup is always fun to watch because it's like someone that maybe was behind now comes flying back because they just needed extra mana. That's why they weren't doing as well. And now everyone else is like, whoa, we can't catch up to you. And it's just so much fun.
This is like, at least for mono red, this is borderline mono red staple for me at this point.
Yes.
I actually played a game maybe a month or two ago, maybe about 2 months ago at this point, on John's channel where I had a Descent to Avernus out, and Ashley from MTG Gaming also had one out. So we were just going around killing each other with just more and more triggers. And it was probably one of my favorite games I've played in recent memory, just because of that stupid card.
Yeah, I always have fun with Descent into Avernus, but it is kind of interesting. It's like you take X damage and you make X treasures. Like the ramp is so exponential, but what if there was like an alternative where they gave you X divided by 2 mana crypt tokens each turn? Like everybody got mana crypt. That's because that's what you're effectively getting is like as intervals of 2 mana. Obviously, like the treasures are colored, but like I think there's some edit room there in the future. Like Magic 2033, they'll be doing mana crypt tokens.
And would I have to then flip the coin?
Yeah, you have to flip that many coins. So every turn the coin flipping adds to drastic heights.
Actually, what's funny too is, and now in retrospect, and I know, basically knowing Cory, you're going to be like, oh, bull, you totally did. But I didn't pick that card because of this, because I forgot. But one of the incentives for the marathon stream, I call it time acceleration. It can only be done once per game, but a $75 donation will give every player a Descent into an Avernus.
I think, and they're going to wait until the game that I'm in just as like a... Got him.
Just do it. Get it. I just think I doubt anyone will do it at all throughout the day, but I kind of want someone to because I think it would just be hilarious to see 4 of them popping off at once. And if we have like a 10-minute game, then we just do another one. But it's just like I think it'd be a great just to see everyone's reaction to wait for Descent into Avernus is what?
This is a harsh punishment.
Yeah, just make sure you're playing your life gain deck for that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But hey, I think that's going to bring us to the end of today's episode. So first off, obviously, we'd like to thank Brian for joining us, hopefully for the first of many future potential times.
Absolutely.
So if you want to...
I'm there.
All right, there we go. So if you want to check out Brian, like he said, you can find him out on the Unskilled Commander, or you can catch him April 27th, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on any of this. April 27th, starting at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, for 12 straight hours of magic-y goodness with new pods every 2 hours. Your boy will be on, I believe, at the 4 o'clock pod. So if you want to give me a Descent to Avernus, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4/27.
The Unskilled Commander on Twitch.
This $75 over and over again. I want a bunch of Descent to Avernuses. I want it to be like Cory makes it through 8 games in 2 hours because they all had just 50 Descent to Avernuses.
Oh, that'd be actually fun. I would love to be able to. I would say that with bragging. I'd be like, yeah, 2 hours. We played 8 games, all because of Descent into Avernus.
Pure power burn.
We raised a crap ton of money for charity, so it's all worth it.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be a win-win for everybody. You can also find Cole at loveandmana.mtg. Got any hot photo shoots out yet, Cole? I haven't seen them recently.
No, we're working on a couple though, so keep your eyes peeled.
All right, Cole Centerfold summer calendar will be out on Instagram at loveandmana.mtg. You can find me at Sleevecard, or you can reach out to the podcast at UrCastPod or contact.urcast@gmail.com. But thank you for making it to the end of the episode. Have yourselves a magical Friday, and we'll see you next week.
Later.
Bye, everybody.